So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next speaker, Noriko Mizumoto.
Hello, my name is Noriko Mizumoto. Thank you for coming to my talk. This is the very first time for me, so getting very, very nervous. If any questions, please feel free to throw straight away. Let me introduce myself a bit. I am Noriko Mizumoto, Red Hat employee, and my section is called the Localization Service Team under the Globalization. Today, I'd like to introduce what is the localization is. First, I'd like to talking about what is the localization. Visually, I'd like to introduce you and show you how it looks like, and then go through the internationalization, and then push to the Zanata platform. When you, if you're the developers or the programmers or maintainers, and then looking at to localize your application, then you have to go through work process. Internationalization is kind of the preparation that the application to be localized, so that this has to be done first. After the internationalization, then, well, the file itself, the translator can work, but it's much more safe and better way to use the translation platform is called Zanata that has been briefly introduced by the Praveen in the previous talk. Push to the Zanata platform means that push the file itself to the Zanata platform. And then it's ready to be localized by the translators. Localization won't happen automatically. It isn't a machine translation. Every language translator will work manually to translate every strings in the Zanata. And then once completed the files, what happens is, again, the developer has to pull the files to repackage the application itself. And that is the workflow. And at the end, we'd like to talking about a little bit the tips when you are thinking about to localize your application itself. First, what is localization? This is a BAT Manager program. Everybody probably knows that to create the virtual machine, the left is the English version, and then right is localized Japanese version. You can see the buttons, say File or Edit, View, Help on the top has been localized. And also the status of every virtual machine is stopped, has also localized. But in this state, probably many of the users these days do understand the file or edit such a small buttons. So what's the point to localize? Now, with the same programs, try to create the new virtual machine, then widget comes up. Now, widget is a little bit longer to explain how to create machines nicely. So, as you can see in English, still simple and clear instruction there, and then you can choose which format you like to use to create your virtual machine. But I think that many of you here in these rooms can speak the non-English languages as well. To me, I am the Japanese, and my mother tongue is a Japanese. So if I can read those explanations in Japanese, just looks like a right-hand side, it's much more intuitive. Let's say, if see the English screen, I would say I need 2 to 3 minutes for one screen, and this is 5 steps. So that means 2 times 5, so 10 minutes. I need 10 minutes to create the virtual machine. But for the localized version, it's so quick. Click, click, click. Probably I can make the virtual machine in a minute. that's how the localized versions makes user-friendly. This is how it looks like a documentation. We do the localized documentation as well, like an installation guide. Such an operating system or the bigger system or complicated application or the program, maybe the developer would like to document for the users how to use it or how to install or the reference guide. Those also can be localized. Again, the left-hand side is English and the right-hand side is Japanese. Exactly the same structure, but all the explanation is in Japanese here. Now, first step is internationalized. Internationalized, as I explained, is a preparation. One of preparation, not necessary to do that every time you wanted to localize. Once the internationalize, done, and that's it. And this is not somebody do, but the developer self do the internationalization process. I will show you a little bit more. If the developer developing on the Linux, highly likely using the get text, I think. And when this is, right-hand side is how to use the get text. Simply, it's kind of the introduction. And you can find fedoraproject.org wiki how to do internationalization through get text. So I don't go through details about this because I am not going to talk about the internationalization today, but how it looks like. And then left-hand side is a JAPO repository. Use the get text, you will get the source file called pot file. And then underneath, there is a JAPO, FRPO, CSPO, or ZH-TW, which means traditional Chinese PO. So the source file and then the language PO files follows in the one repository. Another example is logging tooling. If developers is developing the application in JBoss, then get text no longer work. So usually they're going to use the logging tool. Again, the right-hand side is a briefly introduction about how to use the logging tool to internationalize. When JBoss application internationalized, then the file going to be not the PO file, but the I18N_EN.property file. This is a source file. It's called a source file. It's English file. And then the localizable, translatable file going to be the I18N_FR again .property file. This is how it looks like. If internationalized, those files will be ready in the one repository. So now ready to localize. So as explained, this time we're going to use the Zanata. Push to the Zanata. This has to be done by the developer. Zanata is not only one platform we use. As it says, the GNOME Localization Team use the DAMLI, where I am belonging to as well. And LibreOffice Localization use the Portal. And then Fedora Localization Team using the Zanata. In person, I think the Zanata is very much translators-friendly platform, comparing than the DAMLI or the Portal. But I don't talk much about the Portal or the DAMLI. But basically, all those platform works almost the same. It's bridging the developer and then translators. This is the PO file, how it looks like. Developers can actually pass this file to the specific translator, like a Japanese translator. Say one developer would like to localize the application just to the Japanese, and then he might pass this file to me. then I can go through this file using the Vi or the Emac or whatever the preferable editors to localize, say, MSG ID is, no. Edit, MSG ID and MSG SDL. Between the double quotation has to be translated. However, when using the editors, it's so simple. It's so easy to insert the wrong characters between somewhere you don't have to, or delete something accidentally. But I didn't notice it, and then pass back to the developers, and developers repackage this file to include the localized version in the package, and then try to run, and then suddenly the package itself stopped working. Developers has no idea why it stopped working, and then thinking about, oh, this is a localization. And this is the typical way that the developers hate and dislike translators. They don't know anything at all about the localization, about the technical thingies. So that's why that the using the Zanata is the point. Be friend to the developers and the translators. This is how to create the project. Say, first, developer has to create the project. This is, again, only once time. It's so easy. Go to the project, create the new project, and then insert the necessary field, and that's it. Now, empty project being created, so the place that push the PO files or the property files or whatever. You can see in the new project there is a file format. Gettext is a PO files. PO directly, it is for mainly the documentation. Documentation, the base file is XML. And then they do have, when they convert it to a PO file, then there is a multiple pot file. Software is only one pot file, but the documentation has a multiple pot file, so they have a directly or a hierarchy, so that they have to choose the directly PO directly. And then properties and other format. It's pretty much many various the formats are supported by Zanata. And right-hand side is Anaconda example, how it looks like. And then there is a branch for the Rail, branch for the Fedora. So the translator side can choose which branch they gonna work. Say the Fedora people, they like to translate the Fedora 24, then go to the 24 branch. For internal translator who translating the Rails 6 minor version or Rails 7 minor version, they might go the Rails 7 branch. Here, because the localization is not automated, localization is every translator's work, so I'd like to introduce a little bit about the localization team of the Fedora. We have, as Praveen already explained, we have total 81 language teams registered at the moment. Well, talking about how many language teams are active, then it's up and down, so I can't give you the clear idea, but roughly about 40 plus language teams are active at the moment. Every language team might have only one translator. To the big matured teams would be, I'd say, 8 to 10 or more translators. For Japanese teams, active translator around 5 to 6 translators, but the registered translators just registered inactive, including inactive, more than 100 translators are registered. 875 officially registered translators. That means we do have trans-at-list mailing list, which are shared mailing list. All the translator has to join this mailing list, and then common language is English, so we can share the information and announcement or the discussion across the language will be happen in this mailing list, and then registered by the 875 people. That means we have 875 translators registered at the moment. This is all inclusively inactive translators, so actually the active translator is less than this number. Platform, Zanata has a couple of platforms, and this is fedora.zanata.org is a Fedora specific instance. So into login, you have to use the FAS account. It's same thing applies to the developer who wanted to make a project. They have to have a FAS account. We have a wiki page, so anyone who like to know a little bit more about the localization, please go to the wiki page. We have a home page. At the moment, we are having a bi-weekly meeting. If you're interested, you can join us. But probably we might bi-weekly, monthly is still talking about, so the frequency may change. Now, this is how it looks like for the translators. Left-hand side is just after choosing the branch. There are the many languages available. If you are the, which one did I choose it? Well, if I am the Japanese translator, then choose the Japanese language. If you're the French translator, choose the French language. And then there it says Anaconda, click that one, and then we'll show it called the editor screen. And then left is English string, and then right is a translatable field. It's already translated, but usually it's empty, untranslated. Or if anything changed from the previous, the English strings, then it will be fuzzy marked there. Something changed, so that the translator do understand something changed. And once translation completed, it says 100%. So now the time to pull by developers. We notify to the developers we're done. This is how-to page. So developer has to go through this page to learn how to pull the translation. But in short, zanata-cli pull-src-t trans. This is one command that you can pull. That's it. And once this one command will pull whole the translations. If you pull I don't think so, but if you want to choose pull just one language, there is a way to go. And also just one language, probably you can pull from the user interface. But as the Zanata team says, that this is using the command line is the recommended way to pull the translation. And I think this is a comfortable way for the developers as well. Okay, last one, tips for localization. Write in English. What the stupid thing I'm talking about, you might say. But that means some developers would like to develop the software in Spanish because their mother language is Spanish, I mean a user interface. But if develop in Spanish and then localize into Japanese, then developer has to find the translator who are capable to translate from Spanish to Japanese. There is a way smaller number of translators who can translate from Spanish to Japanese, comparing the translator who can translate English to Japanese. So I don't say that English is a higher priority, but because the English is a common language, so it is better to write the English for the user interface to be translated, so that it would be most easy to grab any kind of the language translators. Pay attention to the strings. This is a common headache for the translators. Substitutions. It's just substitution. Translators never know what's in there. Developers put substitution as a user interface. They do understand what's in there, but we don't. And then, as I said, it looks like that. This is es.po, and right-hand side, it's kind of a list of the strings. So we just imagine what's going to be in the substitution if there is only substitutions and there is no explanation. So when you use the substitutions, please pay attention if this can be understandable for the translator. And again, the multiple substitution. This is another problem, the grammatical problem. English is subject, verb, and objective. But for the Japanese or many other Asian languages, will be translated, skip the subject, and then object and verb. So the substitution order can be changed. But if translator says same substitution 1, 2, 3, translator knows we can't change this order, otherwise the translation will mess up. And then took so many hours how to translate without changing the order. This is a challenge for the translator. So if you can avoid, please avoid use multiple substitute. And the second one is development cycle. The previous talk talking about the string freeze, the translator will be more active after string freeze because before the string freeze, strings can be changed, of course. So if translate and then changed, it is kind of waste of the time. So most likely translator wait until the date of the string freeze and then be active to translate. And then we are looking at the translation deadline. And once the translation deadline passed, then we're going to be the inactive. The problem is developers push the files regardless of the string freeze or regardless of the translation deadline. And then pull. Of course, nothing happens. And then at the end, the operating system partially unlocalized. So that the user said, oh, Fedora partially not localized for my language. For the translator side, I translated 100% at the end of the deadline. How come this happens? This string is unlocalized. I haven't seen the strings during my translation period. And then that things can demotivate the translators. So please pay attention about the development cycle. And we do understand that sometimes it has to be break. String has to be changed out of this period. We do understand. So just let us know that string has to be changed. Then we will say, yes, we can accommodate. Then we will start to work out of the period. But it called a silent break, nothing being informed, then nobody knows, so nothing happens, translation not happens. So if you need to change the strings out of the scope, then let us know. Provide test environment. This not going to happen for the Fedora, but sometimes JBoss or the other project may happen. If, say, like OpenStack or OBAT is mainly online tools, online applications, that means translators can't install any developing release or developing packages. So it is nice to prepare the test environment to go through, because as it says, we see just the strings and give a translation. Sometimes we just guess how the strings comes up in what situation. So say printing, is this in the way that printing, or is just known of the printing? Is different translation. So if you give a test environment, we can go through how it looks like, and then we can change it correctly. So test environment is a very important part for the translators team, and it is very much useful. And communicate with the localization team. We are, I think, almost happy, smiling people. So don't be afraid to communicate to us, ping us. We are happy to answer any questions. And finally, I like you, if you can speak other than English, please join localization team, Fedora localization team, so that you can understand how the localization works. Also, you yourself can join to localize your application as well, and the others. How to join, quickly go through the create a Fedora account system, subscribe the mailing list, introduce yourself, sign up the Zanata, start translating. That's all we need. So simple to join. This is surrounding teams, Czech team. Coordinator is Adam. I'm not sure he is a Red Hat employee. Hungarian team coordinator is Dolzan Hopper. He is non-Red Hat people. He's a very kind and long contributing coordinator. Slovak team coordinator is Marek. I think he's a Red Hat employee. German team is coordinator is Roman. And Polish team coordinator is again Piotr. He's also the Fedora Localization Steering Committee members with me, and also the administrator of the fedora.zanata.org instance. So if you guys too shy to join straight away, probably these guys can give the better answer. Finally, if you like to shoot a questions after these sessions, I'm always on the IRC Freenode, Fedora G11N channels. My nickname is Noriko _, sorry, Noriko, all this no capitals, Noriko, or you can send me an email, noriko@redhat.com. That's all my talk. Is any questions I can answer now, if I can? Yes.
I have one. I don't know how if you have some experience with that, but how is your policy about mistakes in translations? Because sometimes they must happen. That's for sure. And but let's say that this mistake is maybe not exactly wrong word, but a word that is not very precise. And it stays in software. Everyone understands it somehow, and for it is there for a few generations of this software. So how is your policy? Will you at the end change this, or will you leave it because your users are used to it, and nowadays everyone knows what this means, even if you know that maybe it's not the best translation?
The question is, what is any policy that can define this is a good translation or bad translation, better be fixed? Is that right? We do. It really depends on the team, but in this case, I think talking about the sensitive translations, it depending on the translator, and then this can happen not only in the Fedora. This happens in the GNOME or the other project. Usually, what happens is first communication, talking each other, the one translator and another translator who has the different opinion. And then both cannot agree the others, then usually we ask the coordinator or the moderator, if there is a moderator in that team, and that moderator or the coordinator will give a decision finally. But it is the best way to talk the one person to the other person and have best solutions for which is the best translation. That is why that Zanata has a feature, review feature. It's called the review feature. Translated strings go through to the package, but also the reviewer can ticket this translation is good. Then the status will be changed from the translated to approved. Nothing changed in the package or in the user interface at the end, but we can see that the translated status is just translated, but approved status is approved by someone else. That means kind of the stamp that this is good quality translation. Any question? I'm sorry. Yes, Remy.
So, thank you, Noriko. That was really very, very useful information. Does the localization team do like sprints or any events where we can get new contributors involved?
Yes. We just talked about the sprints and local sprints last FAD Tokyo. Also, Leona, she is pretty much active about Albanian sprints. She has already done a couple of them, and she is already planning the sprints. And we would like to spread the word to the sprints. But at this moment, the coordinator is not so keen because they are busy. So we need ambassadors team's help to organize it. I just talked with, where is Fale? Is Fale here? Italian, talked with Italian ambassador as well. He's going to organize the sprint. Unfortunately, there is there is ambassador for the Japan, but he's a bit kind of inactive. We need more active ambassador, so we cooperate with ambassador to give more sprints as well.
So tonight at 6 o'clock, the EMEA ambassadors are going to have a meetup after the end of this. So any translators that want to talk about organizing sprints for EMEA or with the ambassadors in general.
That'd be great. I will be there. Thank you very much. Remy, thank you. Yes, any question I can? Yes.
I would like to ask if Zanata is some support for, let's say, something like the notes for translation. So if there is any text to translate, if there is a way how developer can communicate to translator or in the opposite way, some note about this translation, like say this needs to be more, say, some additional stuff that just not the original string, but additional information that is not displayed but can help the translation.
Yes, there is space, I think, in the PO file to, I'm not sure, I'm not a techie person, so I can't tell how to, but there is a space to add the comment from the developer side, and that can be viewable in Zanata, yes.
Usually there are two things. One is comment from the code that gets taken and added as a comment directly to the PO file, and the other one is the called message context, which is an additional string that makes the message ID different. So if you have two message ID which are the same but mean different things, you can add a message context which make them disambiguate. So they can have two different translations. And usually translation system based on get text have a way to translate properly in C and change those message contexts.
Thank you. Is any other questions I can answer? Yes.
So when I want to use Sonata, does it provide me with some translators already, or do I need to find
Yes. Is your application part of the Fedora?
no.
Right.
I've never used Sonata, but I'm just asking if there is a way that Sonata can connect me with the translators.
Zanata has itself, as I said, a separate instance at the moment. So if it is not the Fedora or the package do not want to be a part of the Fedora, there is a translate.org, another instance for other open source packages. I will show you the later after this talk, but there is another instance you can join. But that instance, there is called team, but haven't been formed just like a Fedora. Fedora is more likely we have a sprints and we have a real teams, Albanian teams, Italian teams, Japanese team. But that instance is just a framework. There is a no coordinator, there is a no moderator, but there is an instance. Yes.
I wonder, are you also feeding back the translation to the upstream project? So for example, if there's an upstream project which is only translated to, say, French and Czech, and it's incorporated or it's put into Fedora, and then you, as far as I've understood, you do the translations for Fedora. Do you also feed the translations back to the original project somehow?
I recommend to use Zanata as upstream.
Okay, so directly for the upstream project.
Yeah, what is any platform are you using, like a Transifex or anything else? What platform are you using for the translation?
I mean, in generic, so there's some program which is not part of Fedora yet,
Mm-hmm.
and it already has some translations to some few languages, and then this program gets put into Fedora too, and now you're starting translating to other languages there.
That case, not necessarily the Fedora Zanata.org instance is not limited to the Fedora package itself, because there is, say, the Anaconda will be used by other packages, but they still there, because inside of the Fedora Zanata.org instance, then you can use the Fedora Localization Team in full. So if you move into the Fedora Zanata.org, then you can use the biggest resource of the open source localization team. But that can be not necessary to be only for the Fedora, but that translation can be used the upstream for the other packages as well. I understand that the situation we are talking about with the Zanata team will going to, I can't tell when, but they are going to implement feature organization. With that features, more upstream project can join and then choose the teams or the people can be translated, not necessarily the Fedora people, just be able to form their own translation team without sacrificing the resource itself. So unfortunately, I can't have a Zanata team today, so it's hard to explain about that features, but probably next time the vlog, I'm looking at to be in the vlog with the Zanata team, so probably we'll be able to give a more good answer about this feature. So can I finish my talk if everybody happy? Okay. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.